Bonjour, my adorable little internet and you amazing creatures of the beyond. Look what we have done here. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it beautiful? And I don't know, creative, I suppose. I hope. So I've done quite a bit of work on this. Um, where to begin? I don't even know. Actually, I do know, but let's see. Let's try to bring this on here. So I've put the background on full black because the game requires it to be full 100% black. And I've done a very interesting thing, and we're going to discuss about this thing after we explore how I have created this. In case you didn't catch it, this is not just that scar over here, but it is an entire effect that applies to everything here. And we'll go in a quick guide on how to set that up because it's quite magnificent what Inkscape can do when it really wants to. So this is metallic. This I try to kind of think of it as a hologram thing, just to give it sort of a support. Because if I remove this, where is it? It's this one. Yeah, should holograms. So if I disable this, you can see, well, I left a bit of red here just to blend in those things. But it looks very bland and yeah, futureless. So the hologram was quite okay here. I don't know what this is. Okay, I think I know what that is. And yeah, then so this is metallic and I didn't make a separating element here. I only set it over here and over here because these are the same color. So they needed a separator. But here, since it's this differential between these surfaces, they blend in correctly. So we didn't have to bother too much with that. What else? In the interior, I tried to go with something that resembled brass or, well, I was going for copper, but then it was too dark and the color was going to become a bit too much of an egg color. And I was like, I don't know if it looks quite okay. It's like eggs inside of this thing. They look so fragile and out of place. I don't know. I couldn't just hit the correct note on those colors. I'm not still 100% happy on how this ended up, but it looks okay. Especially since the flag itself, the crest, is going to be quite small. So we won't be able to detect all of these other refined details. Then here is quite an interesting thing. So, as we were discussing last time, I was doing all of these elements inside. So, this is a blurred corner, and then I introduced another highlight over here to make it brighter. But then we have things like this, and I think this is far more easier to control in terms of how much we want to give this bleeding edge in. So for example, since it's blurred by 20%, and let me show you guys here, blur like that, I can just slowly push it to make it longer and imply that it prolongs its its gradient over the surface. But then, so I've applied one, two, or another one over here. And again, a diffused one, then a highlight. But for this, I tried something different. I tried the gradient. And to be honest, it's far more difficult to implement it with a gradient. I still left it because I kind of felt like this one needed to be a bit more prominent than the rest. But doing it like this is kind of a pain. You have to drag in these points and ah, then everything you have to just kind of go around, and if you're changing the color you have to go through all of each of these points to do the same color. So it was a pain, and I only left this one just as a standalone so I can kind of get an idea of how it might look in contrast to the rest. But after I've done the rest, I kind of just abandoned this idea. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Both ways are okay. But I believe this one gives you far more better control over how you can ex- extend it over a surface, also play with the thickness and so on. And as you can see, I was very sloppy. I didn't make symmetry perfect or anything like that. It's like all of these shapes are like, ah, let's see how it looks actually. Uh, let's go with a split. Very artistic, I have to admit. Yeah, quite artistic. View, none. Okay. Then inside here, oh, also I've added this extra part over here to be a bit darker than the edge over here. I mean, the part where the imbignation comes. And this kind of gives it a depth to the material so it doesn't feel so uniform. We could have tricked it with gradients as well, but I think again this gives you far more control if you're trying to move things around, change their shape, because this can also be very flexible when it comes to the other shapes. As you can see, this is concave. Wait, this is concave or convex? Damn it, I forgot which one is which. I think this is convex and this is concave. Anyway, well, this is round. Um, anyway, and in this one, again, actually in this one I haven't added a darker side here. I left it uniform. So I kind of tried to play with both of the sides to make distinctions so they don't look like in a mirror. And as you can see, here we also gave it like darker parts. These ones, I kind of tried to simulate the reflection of these coins in the center, well, these spheres or whatever they are. So I tried to put their reflection, a very slight reflection here, just to feel like there is some support and some structure that sits on top of it. Um, the spheres, I'm not entirely happy with how they look. Could have been better, but it's very difficult. It's tricky to play with spheres and to get. I kind of left them with a matte color. I didn't want to go too much details with other reflections and so on. Although I could have, but I thought it pushes the design too far. And the element that it has to pop up is this internal this frame. The rest are just accessories. So the less we put on the accessories, the more the frame stands out, and it's more fantastic that way, in my opinion. Um, Here, I kind of liked this idea that this ends in this reflection over here, but not put it over here. So it it feels, I don't know, like a vinyl, a little bit like a vinyl surface. And then I try to extend this to reflections on this side, but it's a bit difficult to see on the screen. And again, a darker side here, a darker side over here. Then on this, I just added gradients. And then I've added this edge that went to reflect this hologram thingies. And I left it longer on this side because it's a darker side, and on this side I left it a bit smaller. I don't know what else. This I used like the these are rune symbols. I don't necessarily know what they mean. I think this is an N, this is a H, and this is an NG, if I remember correctly. I was looking in an alphabet, but yeah, well, whatever. They don't mean anything, you know. They're just decoration symbols. Um, yeah, I think they look quite okay-ish. I constantly go in and out, just to see how the eye adjusts. And for Le Piece de Resistance, we have the on top effects. So this one is quite easy to do. You just do whatever shape. I just add a tiny bit of blur, and then I duplicated and moved it a bit to the left and gave it this lighter color, so it looks like it's a surface that is chamfered here, you know, goes inside the hole. But this I only left only one, only this one because I thought, yeah, I didn't want to go too much into the scratches and surfaces. But if we're going to, let me try to get, okay. So if we look here, this is just an example. I was looking for references. If we look at the metal surfaces, we see they have a lot of scratches. This gives it this texture. I'm looking to the 2B one. And if we look here, you see that this one is quite white, but this one is darker. But this one has a tiny bit of dark on the edge. So this is my reference to when doing scratches and stuff like that, or cracks or whatever they are. Uh, I don't know. I've looked in quite a few of this. This is too extreme. I think this one looks a bit better, although this one is generated as well. But as you can see, lots of cracks. This one looks more like leather, to be honest. Ah, this one, perfect. Oh, this is an extreme example, of course, but it's very good for reference. So, and mine goes towards a bluish kind of color. This one is still pretty neutral, but you get the idea. Okay, let me try to get rid of these things. Okay, what else? What else? Oh, yeah. Um, so I don't know if you guys can observe what this is happening. If you see, it's darkening, but it's actually not darkening. The reality is, like, if we go really, really close, we start to see these spots. And this is basically the option to add an effect. And this effect, this noise, it's a noise texture effect. Well, noise effect. So for this noise, in order to do it, I just went to filter and I selected the general shape and put it on top. I put it on a different layer so it's easier to control. So basically, I want to filter, and I'm just gonna show you in the filter editor. So basically, I chose filter and image effect, and I went to film grain, and I selected that, and the film grain is pretty big. So in order to control it better, I just played with this slider somewhere between five and six, somewhere around there. Doesn't need to be too granular. You can still play with lots of elements in here with composite color matrix, with the blend, especially with the blend. But I chose the blend in my case to set it up over here in the blend mode because it's closer to all of the other settings that I have here for opacity and so on and color. I didn't touch the color, I just left it a neutral grayish thing. And I put it to 20% opacity and then I left it to soft light. You can go with other ones. Multiply also works, but it darkens a bit too much for my taste. Also on this one, for this texture, Actually inputted 50%, I believe, no? Oh no, it's still 20%. Ah no, I used this texture with 50%, yeah, 40%. Because this one needed to pop up a bit harder. And one particular thing that noise is very useful, it actually sharpens your image in a way. The sharpening effect actually uses noise, but beyond this, the noise kind of shifts the color around. So, for example, you see that this lighter yellow starts to trickle in into the shadow with these granular elements, and the same happens for the shade going into the lighter area. So it's a very useful tool to blend in colors and to make them look, I don't know, composed and sharp, and to give it a more of a realistic object that stands out. And it's a very subtle effect, as I said. If we disable it, you can, well, it looks okay without this filter, but the filter just gives it that personality that it really, really desires. It's imposing, it's strong, it's a sign of power. Yeah, I'm rambling, I know. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm gonna think for the next player flag or crest. How is it going to look like? I think it ended up okay. Could be designed in many, many ways, but yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm just gonna leave it like this. I'm not gonna touch it anymore. Uh, yeah. So we shall see in the next episode what we have to invent to look magnificent and extraordinary because we want to be superb in our designs, I mean. Okay, guys, you stay awesome. Catch you in the next episode.